BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
Hello, I'm Phil Goodlad, and this is the Scottish Football Podcast. The news, the views, and the analysis you need from our beautiful game. It's Friday the 29th of August, and it's a beautiful game that's under something of a European cloud this morning.
And Legia once more take charge in Warsaw. What a game this has been. But now it's the hosts who move back in front on aggregate 3 apiece on the night. But it's Legia 5, Hibernian 4.
Hibs exit Europe as they fall just short in a roller coaster night in Warsaw. While it's controversy in Bucharest as a penalty award proves costly for the Dons.
I don't know how he gets his hand out the way there. I thought initially you were looking at the penalty where making contact with the player. I didn't see the handball, but when I look at that now, yeah, it's a handball, but what can he do? How can he get his hand out the way there? Biomechanics, what do you do there?
Aberdeen now face group stage football in the Conference League. And there's a quiet weekend ahead in the Scottish Premiership.
Plenty of endeavour, plenty of honesty, but the Champions League is a wee bit more than that.
To the fans, I have nothing but an apology. I'm really sorry they had to witness that, and it is humiliating, it's really painful.
The Old Firm match up after they suffer midweek humblings.
The Scottish Football Podcast.
Welcome along. Thank you for your company. We need to smile this morning, don't we? So Craig Telfer, Mr. G himself, from a view from the terrace, always one to, well, really just to provide a bit of clarity, a bit of context for us in Scottish football. Craig, morning.
Morning, Phil. Delighted to be here.
Well, you say that, but wouldn't it be even more delightful if we had a week of wins across the board? But alas. Ryan Flynn, the Arbroath midfielder and a man who knows a thing or two, I would say, about what it takes to get over a disappointment. And Ryan, this is by no means a focus on Arbroath. I just mean as a professional player. This is probably something that over a career, you need to learn how to deal with a setback.
Oh, without a doubt. You've got to pick yourself up and go again. It's been a disappointing week in Scottish football, but it's one of them that I think we'll try and look at the positives and we'll move on.
Craig, if one word sums up this week, what is it?
That's a good question. Mediocre is probably the word I'd use to describe. I don't think it's like a dark night of the soul for Scottish football. I've seen a lot of hand-wringing, a lot of bedwetting as well, a lot of Helen Lovejoys. Oh, won't someone think of the coefficient? I don't think it's as bad as that. While it would have been great to see some of our teams compete in the Champions League and maybe seeing like Hibernian qualify, I don't think it's that bad. I think that when you look at the individual games, the 4 games that took place over the week, there was all constituent parts there that let them down. I don't think there's a wider malaise in Scottish football. While it's disappointing, I think that the disappointment is more specific to the 4 football clubs involved rather than an overall state of the game. So yeah, mediocre, but mediocre with an asterisk next to it.
Ryan, let's start in Warsaw last night. I mean, I'm saying it's been a doom and gloom week for Scottish football. At least Hibs didn't lose last night. They actually finished 3-3. Of course, the aggregate score put them out. And when I heard David Gray speak after the game, he was right to focus on how proud he was of his players, what a comeback in the second half, how brilliant they were. That almost makes it more disappointing this morning when we look back and think, man, Hibs were so good in the second half last night and still didn't go through.
I suppose you can say it that way, but I just think he must be so proud. I think the fans, first and foremost, the trip that they've been on. You look at Midtjylland, that story, it was 3 wonder goals that beat them. You look at how Midtjylland's done since then, they've just turned over every team. So I think Hibs can be proud of what they've done. They go to Partizan, they put on great performance, they win away, fans loving that. Then all the adversity they've been through that, the home tie at Partizan, they go away to Warsaw, and the performance they put on was remarkable, really. The game starts, they go 1-0 down, you think, oh no. Even before the game, it's not the one that you're hanging your hopes on to get through. And then whatever he said at half-time, the players fully believe every word that comes out of his mouth. Because, again, adversity, 1-0 down, 3-1 in aggregate. You wouldn't have thought it. the game starts, 50 minutes, 59 minutes, 61 minutes, you're watching this going, I'm sitting there, I believe that Hibs are going to go through here. And then Martin Boyle, I mean, that could have made it 4-1. That unbelievable effort comes off the crossbar, and then it just, as the game goes on, Walsh get that one that's probably punished them in all the rounds, all the Partizan, Midtjylland late goals. You're thinking, here they go again. It's going to be like that. They go behind in the extra time, and you're thinking, oh no. And then again, the players must believe, whatever he says, they look dead on their feet, and they're running themselves on the ground, doing everything they can to claw back. And without a remarkable save for the keeper, it could have been to penalties. And I kind of wanted it just to go to penalties just for that, whether it was just deserved or not. I wanted the penalties just to see if they could give the fans over there that remarkable night again.
You see, you wanted it to go to penalties. Let me give you an insight into somebody that has to get up before the first cockerel in Scotland crows of a morning. This week has been ridiculous for my sleep pattern. Absolutely ridiculous. And it was like, see, if Hibs goes to penalties, my wife is going to divorce me. That's just going to be the end of things. Craig, the one thing that David Gray was saying in Good Morning Scotland earlier when we were hearing his post-match interview was, if you compare Hibs to 12 months ago, when he said after 13 league games we were bottom of the table, to now being, a scraping of paintwork away from going through to the Europa Conference. This is a turnaround from a rookie manager who was facing calls right across Scotland to be sacked last year. What a turnaround.
It's incredible. I think if you go back to the game against Aberdeen where they drew 3-3 when Rocky Bushiri equalising, it was a 95th minute equalising. Yeah. That's the turning point for David Gray, and really since then it's been vertiginous what he's managed to achieve with the club. And I think that perhaps in the Scottish Premiership they look like the most fun to support. Looking at the scenes through in Warsaw when that third goal went in, just a fan, I was watching the highlights, a fan at the netting just screaming, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, over and over again. Absolutely fabulous moment. And I think that Hibernian are probably a goalkeeper away, maybe a centre-back away from having an absolutely smashing season. When you look at all the constituent parts in that team, like Rocky Bushiri has developed into an absolutely superb defender. You've got a lot to like in midfield. The Cadden brothers on either wing, and at the moment, the best centre forward in the country at the moment in Kieran Bowie. How on earth, when you see his performances, he ended up at Hibernian and didn't go to Rangers or Celtic or a championship team in England? I don't know. Future Scotland number 9. The club seem like in a really good place to go on and kick on and having a good season. And I think without the distraction of European football, they can just concentrate on the bread and butter domestic league. And at this stage, I don't think it's outlandish to suggest that they could finish in second place. I think that there'll be a lot of clubs who'll look at second place being up for grabs at the moment. And I think Hibs on the pitch are in a good place. David Gray has done a great job there, and I think they'll be looking at going on, kicking on, and having a really extraordinary campaign domestically.
It's funny you mention that, because Michael Stewart last night at the end of Sports Sound almost rallied to the defence of Scottish football by saying, look, there's going to be a lot of doom and gloom merchants who are saying that this has been a terrible week and it's not been great for the coefficient. But we have in Hibs a side full of Scottish talent, managed by one of the best young Scottish managers, he thinks, around just now. And he says they're a team that could do something this season. So, yeah, I think we need to put in perspective doom and gloom. And also, can I just say, as a fan, I think that was a great shout from the Gordon family to put, I think it was £30,000 behind the bar for the fans at the fan zone yesterday. And as a fan of football, and we focus so much on the negativity of shouting at the board, and if you want to see negativity of shouting at the board, look at Celtic and Rangers at this precise moment. I just thought that was a classy thing to do from the Gordon family. So well done to them. As far as Aberdeen are concerned, I mean, you almost forget that they're still in European competition, Ryan, given just how disappointing last night was. Disappointment kicked off by our old friend VAR. If this week couldn't have become any worse for Scottish football, enter VAR to effectively changed the whole narrative of the tie last night with that Alexander Jensen handball incident?
I'm torn with the Aberdeen game. It's that first one, as you're saying, VAR comes in. At no point do you think it's a penalty. I've watched it back. I don't know how many times. It's never been a penalty. The guy actually, ball goes back the way, hits his hand, and it just ruins everything.
Is it even in the box? Is it even in the box as well?
I think it is in the box when it hits his hand, but it's just the way the ball's going back the way. It's not like it's a shot towards goal and he's stopping a proper goal scoring opportunity. You can see it's going back the way. He's scuffed his shot. Handball, penalty, second yellow card, just everything about it. The timing, right before half time. It's an absolute disaster. But on the flip of that, it's just like you talk about Hibs and adversity and they bounce back. Aberdeen, it's just, you go 1-0 down. It's not the end of the world. They're 10 men, but can you just put on a performance? Can you hang in there? Can you make everybody believe, make the fans believe, dream that they can get through? It just wasn't there, and it was just a 2-3-0, very comfortable. And as you're talking about David Gray, Hibs, the future looks bright. Aberdeen, are they going to put on a good performance throughout this European campaign? I'm not convinced.
Do you have concerns?
I do. I just think just the way they've started the campaign. I think the Scottish Cup win last season probably papered over a lot of cracks, and I think it could be a tough one. I didn't feel like the players really believed last night when they went. Obviously, it is tough. These situations happen, but SC, SB, are they that good a side? They're 13th in the league. Can we put on a better showing? And I think when they're going into this group stage in the Conference League, they've got to be put on a better showing.
I agree. One of the things that really annoyed me, the red card decision was a disgrace. It felt as though that by putting VR, they were looking to give the penalty. They were looking for a foul there where none existed. But in that second half, once you're in the change room, you've had a chance to calm down, get out your system, concentrate in the game. If you're playing with 10 men, and Ryan, you'll know far better than me what it's like to be in that situation, but if you're playing with 10 men, you've got to be really careful and really precise what you do with the ball. And I don't think that Aberdeen were. I think that the goal that put FSCB FCSB back into it.
Just call them formerly Stour Stour.
Right,
it's much easier.
Right. Put Stour ahead. Carelessness in the middle of the park. The third goal, carelessness in the middle of the park, and it was just that lack of game management that affected them and ultimately cost them the tie, because they were there for the taking. I thought Aberdeen started that game really, really well and could have actually had a goal, maybe a second goal, had things gone their way. So I think they'll be disappointed. Well, it's good to have European football to look forward to going forward. I think that's just the red card. You can talk about the red card, but I think everything that happened after that as well, Aberdeen will be frustrated that they didn't do more.
Ryan, for Craig and I, we could share our experiences of five-a-side football and try and inflate that as European glory. But from a player's perspective, will Aberdeen be more relaxed about the fact that they're in the Europa Conference, the third tier, where perhaps that's their level at this stage, and they can play themselves into the group, as opposed to almost being underdogs up against much bigger and better teams in the Europa League had they have got through?
You can flip it that way, that now they are in the Conference League, you just have to adapt to that, and can we put on a good showing? I think they have to. I think, obviously, when Hearts were in the Conference League and disappointing not getting the group stage, I think the bare minimum have to get out that group stage of the Conference League. They're now in it. I'm still disappointed just the way they fell into the Conference League, but now they're there, they have to put on a good showing. I think if that's what I'm saying, that you've got that Rocky Bushiri at Hibs that's the character and they never give in. And then you've got Aberdeen, they've just sort of fell into the Conference League. Obviously, they deserve it because they win the Scottish Cup, that's the way it falls. They just need to produce when they get in that Conference League. We have to get a team that gets out that group stage. Jimmy Tilleen, it's just, I'm listening to him after the game. I'm just not convinced that it's all rosy behind the scenes there.
It's Falkirk for Aberdeen on Sunday. St Mirren will entertain Hibs. Thursday Sunday football for Aberdeen and Hibs. There is another couple of games on Sunday as well. And let's look at, to begin with, the Old Firm game. Ryan, a personal question. Are you a Rangers or a Celtic fan?
No, neither.
Right. Okay. Well, that's good for this question because I'm going to alienate the Old Firm audience and probably make friends for life from those of us who don't support Rangers or Celtic. Is this, to non-Old Firm followers, the most exciting Old Firm derby that we potentially have had for a number of seasons, given the narratives that's building at Ibrox and at Parkhead for two very different reasons?
Oh, it's fascinating stuff, isn't it? We're just looking forward to what's going to come. I think it's the fans, isn't it? It's the fans are so unsettled at both clubs, and we've never ever seen it this way. It's normally like one's on top and the other one's unhappy. So no, you've got the home support at Ibrox, and the way they're feeling towards Russell Martin is not pleasant, to put it mildly. This early in the season, I think he was going to get sacked. No, after the result, just the noise around the place that not one fan wants to see him still in that building. And it's obviously early days, it's very harsh. And then Celtic, I feel Celtic, they're unsettled, but I feel it's more frustration. It's not all doom and gloom at Celtic. Barely conceded a goal. They're always on top, mainly. I think it was Falkert scored a goal against them in the League Cup. So it's frustration, but it'll fix there. And I suspect Brendan Rodgers will have them up for that game, and they'll be smelling blood.
Craig, it was stark this morning when I was doing the paper review on the breakfast programme Radio Scotland, that the top line in the Times, so we're not talking, a good old-fashioned red top sensational story. The top line in the Times was Russell Martin will be in the dugout for Sunday's Old Firm derby. And I was struck by the fact that Rangers are going into their fourth league game of the season, and the Times of London, no less, the Scottish edition, is saying, the manager will be in the dugout on Sunday. It's remarkable.
I think it's remarkable that he's in the dugout, to be honest. I think that the resultant performance on Wednesday night, against Bruges, I'm not going to call for anyone to lose their job, but that performance, that's a sackable offence. I thought the way that Rangers played in the first half was jaw-dropping. I think over the past decade or so, we've seen some bad performances from Rangers, but I don't think anything on the scale or anything on the stage of this, I don't think that's an exaggeration to say that. And it just felt like when you saw the videos posted on social media of the fans in the stadium, how negatively they were reacting to Russell Martin, the hardcore, the people that are travelling across the continent to go and watch their team, when you see that uniform disdain for the manager, you just think it's in everyone's best interest to just say, listen, it hasn't worked. That takes a big thing to do at this stage, this early into his time at Rangers, just say, it hasn't worked, we're going to go in a different direction. So to put him into this game at Ibrox against your most hated rivals, it's going to add, the thing about Old Firm games is, particularly if you're playing away from home, the atmosphere, it can be, it's a bit of a cliche to say, but it can get an extra 10-15% out of players. But if they start badly, say if Celtic score a goal after like 5 or 10 minutes, I think the place is going to be, it's not going to be great. And I just think it might be in everyone's best interest, even though the international break's looming, just to cut their losses here with Rangers and go in a different direction, because I don't think Russell Martin came to the club with much credit in the bank with supporters. He certainly exhausted what little patience they did have with him, and I can't see it. It would take something monumental, David Gray-esque, to try and turn around this position, but I just can't see it. Can't see it. It's the worst possible opposition for Rangers to be facing off the back of the game in Bruges.
I don't think you can highlight enough what you're saying there, Craig, about the start. The start is everything for that game. They have to start well, because if they don't start well, the fans will turn immediately. But what I would say, at the start of that game, on that kickoff, they will be fully behind the players. Just anything to get a result. And Rangers have done it in the past, and recent past as well. Just, you don't see a performance coming. Can they produce something out of absolutely nowhere?
You might be right in saying that it's actually, you say it's the worst team for Rangers to be facing. Could also be the best team, in terms of just because there's that degree of, we need to win this game. That might get an extra wee bit out the players. I mean, you shouldn't need much motivation to play against, if you're playing for either team, to play against one another. but we'll see what happens. I can't wait to watch it.
I think the one thing for me is we're going to see true character emerge of players who have joined both clubs, not just Rangers, and yeah, we fall into the cliche world of Scottish football once more, but there is no hiding place in an Old Firm game. And for some players who have maybe struggled at their new clubs this season and perennially struggled, it would appear. I mean, I keep thinking, Adam Ida, who seems to be a lightning rod for Celtic fans at the moment on the pitch, although he's done it before against Rangers. But it's almost a case that we will see on Sunday what players are truly made of, and perhaps only then can fans make their minds up. Of course, this being Scottish football and this being the Old Firm, I think minds have already been made up on quite a number of players, and I think I'm trying to be diplomatic there when I say that. Listen, I mentioned Aberdeen and Hibs playing Falkirk and St Mirren respectively. We've got two games on Saturday: Livingston Hearts, Motherwell, Kilmarnock. The Derby Day feel continues on a Sunday. I miss Derby Day weekends when all the derbies were taking place. And I know we live in the televisual world now where you just simply can't have that. But arguably the Old Firm game will overshadow what to me is a fascinating encounter in Dundee when the derby kicks off. Because Stephen Presley, from the doom and gloom that surrounded him at the start of the season, things seem to have slightly turned for him, because they were really unlucky not to win when they were at Ibrox, and he seems to have been built up a little bit of momentum, Ryan.
Without a doubt, I think he's one that you can speak about within that changing room. I know for a fact that he will make the players in that changing room believe that they can turn whatever around. Whatever the bodies are, obviously they're down to the bare bones at the start of the season, he will make them believe. And I think there's a quiet confidence building around them that they've got a better defensive shape about them. So, no, it's going to be a fascinating one. I think the fans are sort of being patient, but when it comes to the derby, how patient are you? It doesn't matter the performance, how it looks, they just have to get 3 points. I think with Danda and Murray back fit, I think they've now got that threat that they can't just sit there and obviously try to soak it up against Hibs, got turned over, did a job in Rangers, should have probably got 3 points, and I heard it was a pretty ugly game at Rugby Park against Kilmarnock. But they got a point, 2 points on the board. Can they just produce some real quality? Because the fans aren't patient. They won't listen to his words after a defeat if it comes to the hand of Dundee United.
Listen, the producer is screaming in not just one ear, but both ears. Discipline, 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 he's shouting. Phil, wrap this up. Before I go, Craig, just a word on who wins this weekend. Out of the derbies, start at Ibrox on Sunday.
I'm going to go for Celtic to win the Old Firm derby. And I'm going to go for Dundee to win the Dundee derby as well. That's my shoot prediction there.
Ryan?
I'll go Celtic. And I will go, I think, Dundee United. I just feel like Jim Goodwin, they've had that break in the weekend. I think he'll produce a Dundee derby one. And
the biggest game this weekend from an Arbroath perspective?
From Arbroath perspective, we've got a cup final against Airdrie. So we're the relegation rival, so hopefully we can produce as well.
Can I just apologise to Arbroath and Airdrie fans, because that is the biggest game of the weekend, and we've been focusing on the Old Firm and the Dundees and Aberdeen and Hibs in Europe. Listen, we'll leave it there. Mr. Craig G. Telfer, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Ryan, thank you. Well this weekend in that relegation playoff. The relegation final that you've suggested that is. Listen, thanks to both, and thanks to you for listening. It has been a busy week in Scottish football. Maybe not the happiest, but certainly full of controversy and talking points. And you can keep up to date with it all across what will be another busy weekend in Scottish football. Sportsound will keep you up to date right through the weekend. The usual 2:00 start tomorrow with Kenny McIntyre and the team, and then on Sunday it is 4 games, including a certain match at Ibrox, which will no doubt produce some headlines as well. For now, though, I'm Phil Goodlad. Enjoy our beautiful game, even though it's maybe not been as beautiful as we would have liked this week. But stick with it, because it always produces something. Take care. Have a nice weekend. Bye for now.
For everything you need to know about your team this season, download the BBC Sport app. All the latest news, goal updates, stats and scores, and insight and analysis. Just select your club to get the biggest stories and best content at your fingertips. What a result. Download the BBC Sport app for everything you need to know about your team this season.